Hi, this is R.N. Bhaskar from BKBB. That is an acronym for Bhaskar Ki Business Baatein. And this is a channel that brings to you every week a policy analysis, uh, an occasional business story, and an occasional conversation. But at this time, at 8:15 in the morning, on weekdays, Monday to Friday, we bring to you news behind the news. And we talk to you about developments that we think are important for you to understand. And today I have my co-anchor, Katya. Welcome, Katya. It's good to have you here. And then between the two of us, we're going to discuss three titles. And the three titles are quite interesting. The first is Trump, USA and China meeting on June 9th. Today is June 10th. But remember, it's June 9th in America and June 9th in London, and the meeting is in London. So June 9th means today the meeting is going to take place. It's a momentous meeting. The second one is a brilliant story on bulk deals that are rocking the market. And the third one is from nowhere. Amul has come in as a champion of protein food, whey protein, and is taking up the biggies of the world. Okay. Let's take the first story. To understand the story, you have to go to the timeline. It all began in January when, before he assumed presidency for the second time, Trump received a call from Xi Jinping and they exchanged pleasantries. And both said that they would work together to work harmoniously, etc., etc. Then came the Freedom Day announcements of tariffs, where China was singled out for very high tariffs. China was obviously alarmed and furious and slapped back very high tariffs. Both of them decided that no, this is not enough. And in Geneva, they had a meeting, not Xi Jinping and Xi, but their people. And they agreed to a 90-day moratorium on tariffs. And there was a vague word called trade related. But even while the 90-day agreement was reached, USA kept on banning visas for Chinese students, kept on denying them admission in US universities, and started telling other countries not to sell machinery, chip-making machinery, to China. China, obviously, when it saw this happening, it decided to stop sending rare earth magnets to America. It put a ban. And that ban hurt the entire industry of China as it's hurting India. India also depends for its EV cars on rare earth magnets. When this happened, Trump realized that he had no other way. And so yesterday, he rang up on the 7th, he rang up Xi Jinping personally. This is the first call after he assumed presidency. And told him we need to talk about this. And they've agreed to meet today, 9th June, in London. What will happen will be very interesting for the entire world because it remains to be seen who will blink. And China's not giving up. USA may blink like it's done several times before. Remember that US has been mocked for the way it takes a stand and backs out again and again. Watch the space. If there's any development, we'll come back to you with another sequel to this story on what transpired in the meeting between USA and China. And that takes me to the second story, which is again a very interesting story about block deals. Katya, could we have that story?
So it's been raining block deals, sir, in India, and the size of these block deals are massive. So the one of the biggest we have seen recently is Wipro, which actually surprised the market. People were expecting the Suzlon block deal, not Wipro. So the Azim Premji Trust has sold shares worth 5,000 odd crores in the company. So basically, it's promoters buying in. Again, another set of promoter bulk deal activity. The common point obviously is promoters selling stakes. So they sold off around 1,300 crores worth of shares. Both of them sold 20 crore shares. So there was a massive tsunami of stocks that have hit the market of these companies. And then another interesting thing about Suzlon is that it has a large chunk of retail investors. So it's the offloading of shares was actually a lot more democratized, but there were a lot of interested buyers as well of the stock, which done very well in the last quarterly results. So, and then there is a lot of small cap and micro cap activity also. There is a company called Shankara Building Products. A lot of institutions also promoter sales amongst others, shareholders who sold. A lot of institutions have bought into it, including companies. So that is another interesting development. Then if you come, there will be a lot of micro cap and action as well, because a small company called Kisan Moldings, says 12 crore shares were sold on the market, and it was picked up by another small cap company called Apollo Pipes. So that looks like an acquisition, but the fact that they chose to do it through in the open market and not a pipe deal is actually a very interesting development. And if you see, market has been extremely volatile, but there have been spurts of activity, especially after the bonanza that RBI gave. It was expected by the market. There was some expected developments, like the rate cut. A little bit of the action that they've taken is also unexpected. So it was a good positive surprise for the market amidst a lot of gloom and doom across the world. So this is an interesting development. Why do you think they're going for these deals, sir? Open market deals instead of pipe deals. Pipe deals are easier to execute. They're probably cheaper, is what my understanding is.
No, I was going to ask you the same question. You see,
Mm,
for me, I've been brought up with the belief that when
mm,
promoters sell their stake,
mm.
it means the promoters know that there's not much future in these companies, and
Right.
it's better to cash out now.
Mm.
What do you think? Is that what's happening?
That it looks like it's what's happening, because maybe they see something ahead. And the second part also, sir, wealth management has become a big thing now. So a lot of shares, see, Azim Premji trust might have a reason to sell, because it's a trust, and Mr. Premji has pledged a large part of his earnings to for various charitable purposes. But if you see, a lot of promoters, especially small mid cap etc stocks, are heavily into wealth management. They want to diversify. They don't want all their chips in the company block. Younger generations are taking over, so that is also a trend. It could also, and they want to take advantage of the market highs. So we do not know
Yes.
when we've seen the bull run. The bull run might not sustain. So
Very
that could
interesting,
also.
because it means that management, that promoters want to have some cash flow with them.
Right. And there is a lot of wealth management is picking up. So this is probably also an advice. A lot of them are family offices now who are telling them, to diversify, to invest abroad, to go for real estate, to go for, other, alternative funds. So that is also
Yes.
wealth management is picking up.
But very interesting development. It will be interesting to see how the monies are deployed in the near future. But
Yeah.
thanks a lot, Katya. Lovely story. And there's a third interesting story. Bloomberg, more than Indian papers, talked about how Amul is going to throw its weight into the whey protein market. This is interesting because till now, almost all what you call it, nutrition centers, all health centers where you did your exercises, were all promoting foreign whey protein. Whey is interesting because whey is a great source of protein. And in India, many of them are vegetarians, and lentils and grain pulses are difficult to digest, are not as easy to digest as whey is. And with Amul, for the past 50 years, while making their value added products, a lot of whey was just being thrown away. Now, Amul has decided to use the whey, turn it into powder, and sell it as protein, and high value protein. They're also going to chocolates and bars and everything else. But chocolates and bars have one problem. They've got sugar. If you're diabetic and want to put protein, you stick to non-flavored, pure, high protein whey. Amul has also an advantage because it's already a large producer of milk and milk products. It has a cost advantage and hence a market price advantage. It is priced at almost one third of its nearest competitor. The other competitors, which come from overseas, are priced almost 20 times higher than Amul. Amul believes the market is going to grow hugely. And let's see, it's already making some money. It's going to make more money. And they expect the demand. Already all its products have been sold out. So it's opening one more plant in Palan. Watch this space. Amul is getting ready to take on the health centers and the weightlifters with its own health protein. It's the taste of India. That's what Amul is. And that, in a way, brings me to the end of today's session. And before we wind up, just a few questions that have started coming up. And before I take the question, my usual reminders: do click the subscribe button. If you're not a subscriber, do click the like button. That helps us tremendously in our algorithms in YouTube. And lastly, most importantly, please tell all your friends and associates about us. We want more people to know about what we're doing. And that takes me to the first question. The first question is, when there's so much of sale, and that's a question I directed to Katya, when there's so much of sale in the market, won't it cause the markets to go down? What's your feeling?
Like I said, when there are sellers, but there are a large chunk of interested buyers also, which is the good part. So yeah, and the stocks will go down. Obviously, when a large chunk of say 20 crore shares have come into the market, but that probably everybody is expecting it only to be temporary. So and the market now has enough depth, even with FIS flying away thanks to our
They'll come back.
SIPs and yeah. So they have a lot. There is a lot of depth in the market to absorb this, and promoters know it. The brokers who aid these transactions know it, which is why they are coming. Otherwise, pipe deals is also a very good way of it's the private equity of listed companies. They sell it to private equity. They're doing it in the market, which means they're getting a better price in the market than going to a private investor into a public company. So it shows that the market depth has improved extensively over the last few years.
Thanks,
So
thanks, Katya. The second question is about the China-USA meet. What do you think the meeting will talk about? As I said, the most important thing on America's agenda would be basically rare earth magnets. And China would be interested in making sure that not only the tariffs are dealt with, but America does not interfere with its negotiated sales with Netherlands from ASML for buying the latest generation of chip manufacturing machines. So both have their own agendas. China has the capability of producing a machine on its own now. It'll take a little time, a little money, but can do it. Getting a deal directly will save it time and save it effort. America has no choice. So my guess is that America will have to submit to China's demands. Earlier, he would threaten. Trump is a little mellow now because he knows he's dealing with someone very powerful. Anyway, that takes me to the third question, and that is, do you see many players in the market getting clobbered by Amul? Of course. When you price one-third the nearest competitor, you're going to clobber them. It's a game of marketing now, and who can market his brand better to create a perception of value. And some people see value only in a high price, so those markets are different. Amul is coming up with new products. For example, it's coming up with a whey protein paneer flat cakes. So again, that's a high protein food which anyone can consume at his home. But that is interesting because Amul has always been a trendsetter. It has been a market price leader. It's a price setter. And let's see what Amul does here. And that takes me to the end. Thank you for being with us. Thank you for supporting us with your time and interest. And most important, have a wonderful, wonderful day today. Take care.